Yeah.
That would. And I probably should say this thing. I'm probably gonna get heat for it or not. But you said that Osprey couldn't really get wild like you, and the first thing I thought of was that bleeding in matches does not mean that you get wild in a match. So yeah, I'm just gonna. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Square Circle Podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and I am joined by the wonderful New Japan star, Clark Connors. Clark, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying 112 degree heat out here in Arizona, so sweltering a little bit, but it's nice and cool in my apartment.
112? What?
Yeah, yeah. I had to change my tire today, and I almost passed out. Ooh, so it's been fun.
Jesus, man. I don't know how you do it. Over here in New York, we just had a little mini thunderstorm, and I'm just like, this humidity. I don't know how you do it.
No, yeah. Well, luckily, everyone says there's no humidity out here, but it's just really, really hot. So it's not too bad.
Shit, man. I don't know. By the way, you can be yourself and curse or whatever you want to do. So
No.
cool. So before you came on, my chat really wants to know, and I have to ask this, right? They want to know if a hot dog is a sandwich.
Oh my gosh, I've heard this one. Oh yeah, I say it is not a sandwich, and I'll tell you why. Because a sandwich, I think you need to have bread on both sides of it, and I think the hot dog is only going to be a sandwich if you rip the bun into two parts and put it on side the meat. But it's as close as you get to being a sandwich without being a sandwich, I'd say.
All right. Well, I know you're in the chat. You should still be there unless you like ran away from me. Clark Connors already gave his answer, buddy. Love you though. Yeah, they really were like asking about that. They were like asking this. I'm like, sure. All right. So the second question would be, has anyone ever called you Clark Kent?
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. That's how I
really.
Oh yeah. Because like whenever people like I'll say my name and be like, I'm Clark, and sometimes I'll be like Mark, and I'll say no, like Superman. They go, oh, Clark Kent. I'm like, yeah. So I get that. That's my easiest way to get across.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna be the first person to be like, I got this question. All right, cool, but good, because that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, I wonder, So just so I know that this is right, I know you're living in Phoenix in that dastardly heat, but you're originally from Washington State, right?
Yeah. I used to live like 30 minutes outside of Seattle.
Cool. Is there any like, other than the heat, is there any extreme differences between Washington and Arizona?
Yeah, I'd say they're pretty opposite in a lot of ways. I think that's one of the reasons why I moved down here because in Washington, there's no joke. It's like they say there's like 300 days of rain. It's always raining in Washington, and I think I've maybe seen it rain like 2 times since I've been out here. So it's like as much sun as we get here, we get rain over there, and I think like that makes the people different. It makes the people maybe a little more cooped up in Washington versus the people in Arizona. I think a little crazier, which is kind of works for I'm a little wild, as they say. So
yeah. Did you move out to Phoenix to help with like wrestling training, diet training, anything like that?
Actually, no. I was kind of just somewhere I've always wanted to go, and so like, once I graduated from the dojo, it was something that I was like, I want to go out there and just kind of like be myself and really get away from the dojo training and the wrestling training so much. And I think that's really important for anybody who's a wrestler. It's important to train it a lot and work your butt off, but like you have to find time to be you, get away from it all. So that helps. This place really helps me with that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Sometimes, me being in the city of New York, I'm like, I need to get away sometimes from being around like almost everybody here. So you were trained by 3 interesting people. One is Buddy Wayne. 2 is Lance Storm, which I loved, and while I was doing research, I marked out. I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And then obviously the third one is Shibata, which is amazing too. Your debut was in April 15th, 2017, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So after you having like your debut match, is that when you decided to go over to Lance Storm's school to like start training? Like
No,
more training,
no,
I should say.
I started my training first, right? So
Yeah.
I started my training with Lance January 2017, right? So and he always did like
Okay.
so he did like three-month courses basically. So right after
Okay.
the 3 months course was over, I got my first like match like right away in April, and so I went straight to wrestling matches right after that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because while I was researching, it made it seem like you wrestled for Prestige Wrestling first, and then you decided to go over to Lance Storm as like extra training. But no, it's the other way around.
Way around, yeah. Because I think that the first time I ever stepped in the ring was in Lance's school in 2017. I actually signed up for it like while I was still in college in 2016. Yeah. So I signed up for it and then went straight there pretty much after I graduated. And then yeah, right away I was already working on the indies. Like got a lot of good opportunities really, really quickly. And yeah, Prestige, Defy, All Star Wrestling, DOA, everywhere in that little loop in the Pacific Northwest. I kind of got to wrestle, which was really a really cool experience. I do miss that a lot. The camaraderie and all that.
Yeah. Did you start developing the hybrid character when you were with Lance, or when you came back over here to the States?
When I came over to the States, the whole hybrid idea was something that I kind of kicked around a little bit, and I was just like, I like it, but then I also thought like, damn, I think people are gonna think it's lame because it's like hybrid, like a Prius, Like I was like, I don't want anyone, I don't want any like wrestling fans thinking like, oh, he just really loves. And don't get me wrong, I love the environment.
Yeah.
And I love all that stuff. Like I'm big into conservation and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, well, he's not gonna be cool if he's like, he likes hybrid cars. But like, that was different. That was a different time, and it was. I really like. I kind of came up with it myself. Like right when I was finishing up with Lance, I was like, I cut a couple promos up there, and I thought like, okay, this could work. So yeah.
Which, by the way, I do kind of recommend people checking out the promo that you did about the hybrid, and you explain why you're the hybrid. That was one of my favorite ones. I was like, oh, yep, I can see it. I can see that this is gonna work. I didn't think you were gonna be like a Prius, like I personally do not associate cars with wrestling, so so you're okay.
That's fair. Unless it's like a hearse or an ambulance match or something.
Yeah, that's different. I mean,
Yeah,
would you ever want to be in one of those matches, like an ambulance match, a hearse match?
Yeah, for sure. I love that stuff. I think that'd be really cool to like if I don't know, man, maybe I should go back to drive like be in the hybrid instead of off a Prius match. You can sneak up on him when he can't hear you. You hit him from behind.
I mean, if you do, Yana will have to be your partner. You know that, right?
No, 100%. Yeah, we'll figure something out. And in Japan, they got a bunch of like really good little cards for it, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Keeping on the subject with Lance Stone for a little bit, what are 2 huge lessons that he taught you that you keep with you while you're wrestling with New Japan and stuff?
I think the first one he always said was, just listen to get advice from everybody and listen, and like take everything with a grain of salt, but give but listen. That's the first thing. The second thing I think is just is he told me like my one thing he wanted me is like, he goes, you got a lot of potential. You're obviously very new. You can do a lot of good things, but just like get bigger. And I was like, okay. So like I've always been good shape. So I'm always kind of got that in the back of my mind. Like I always want to be like I always try to work harder and get bigger and but stay in good shape. Like I like to be like I'm in the powerhouse of the junior heavyweight division, you know? So it's like, that sticks with me, you know, just like always having like that weight advantage and strength advantage is really important to me.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Like, we're gonna get to Best of the Super Juniors because that was like a really good
For sure.
highlight. But I do want to know, what's your earliest memory of wrestling?
I think the first time I watched wrestling was I must have been like it must have been like 2006 or something. I didn't really watch it like too much when I was a kid. That was something my mom was always just like, it's gonna make you stupid or rot your brain. It's
Uh,
one of those, you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
she's like now she's like loves wrestling so much it's crazy. Like she's my biggest fan. She like just she's always screaming and going crazy. But yeah, I think my first memory was like it might have been like it was like a SmackDown or something. And I think it was like they were showing a replay from like a review, and there's Undertaker throwing Mr. Kennedy off like a fucking like the top of the stage or some shit. And like I thought
Yeah.
he had like a bunch of blood color on his face. It was awesome. And I was like, yo, what is this? I was like, so I so I got really into it after that.
So while I was doing research, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cited that these men are like your inspirations, and it's gonna be Shawn Michaels, Bobby Lashley, Chris Jericho, and Jushin Thunder Liger. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. You know, I think for me it's like you have like all these different I mean, like for different reasons, you know, like Jericho, I got the chance to actually, you know, hang out with him a little bit at AEW a little bit, and it's just like he's just an all around got it all, you know. Shawn Michaels is one of the best performers I've ever seen in my life. Bobby Lashley, once again, it's back to being big and huge and just like having the look, you know. And Justin the Liger is just larger than life. So like to make a perfect wrestler, you add those four things together, you know. And I think that is like where I try to draw a lot of my little bits and pieces from. But then I add my own flair on it, you know, and I add my intensity and my athleticism, my competitiveness. So it all kind of comes together to create you know, get a Clark Connors, you know, out of it.
Yeah, I totally love that. So like when I saw those as like your inspiration, I was like, this makes sense for what Clark is and more. And you already touched on it too, because I was gonna go in depth. Because the thing about my podcast is that I love breaking down characters for fans to understand why they're like really the best at what they do and like how they really think and like all the psychology behind it. And it just makes perfect sense. Shawn Michaels is basically like that heartthrob, the one that always stops the show and whatnot. And like if people look on your IG, like they can definitely tell that you're one of that. Bobby Lashley has that big power, all the muscles. You have that too. Chris Jericho, I called him like a chameleon, just because he's able to go through different decades and like, if people don't know who Clark Connors is, like he was originally the hybrid and now we call him the Wild Rhino. There goes like his chameleon side there. And then Jushin Thunder Liger was one of the best like junior heavyweights, and you got the chance to like showcase the world why you're, the best junior heweightSo I want to add a little bit more to that because I thought that was a very interesting like collection of it. But I do have a follow-up question. We're gonna get to the Forbidden Door, but let's just play on words. If WWE ever contacted you to have like a one night special match against Bobby Lashley, would you take it?
Well, I think I would definitely have to change my strategy up a little bit because I would love to do it, but I can't come at him like he's Hiromu Takahashi or something. I gotta come at him. I know that it's the same way whenever I fight anybody in like the heavies and I change my strategy up. I don't try to just bowl them over with, as much. I try to pull. I have some different moves that I'll pull out, if I need to play the heavy game. I can hit a couple of my old school stuff from the indies. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, man. That would be a very good, like, just one-off match. Something special that WWE could put together. So hopefully, if I speak this out into the universe, it happens.
I love
Also,
it.
yeah. In 2018, you had your New Japan tryout, right?
Yeah, 2018.
What are some highlights from that tryout? Were you like nervous, or were you like, oh, I got this?
I wasn't nervous at all actually because I actually didn't really know a lot about New Japan at the
Uh-huh.
time. I was just kind of going down there because a couple of my good buddies from like Buddy Wayne's were going down,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come down, come through. They're like, yeah, it's kind of a tryout, it's kind of just like a camp or whatever. And I was like, okay, I can do that just to get experience. And to tell you the truth, I didn't really know who Katsuyori Shibata was. Like at the time, I was
Hmm.
kind of just like, yeah, all right, like let's go do this thing. And I met him. I was like, oh, okay, I can see why people are popping for him. And then like Kushida was there too. He was like a surprise guest. And my one friend, his name's Cody Chun. He's a he's a great wrestler up in Washington area. And I remember he was like, oh my god, he was like freaking out. I was like, oh my god, that's Kushida. And I was like, who? I said, who are you talking about? And I was looking around because Kushida ain't very tall. And I was like, wait, oh
Yeah,
him?
yeah, yeah.
I was like, okay, like I'll take your word for it. And obviously now I know, I've seen his stuff and he's amazing. But yeah, so to tell you the truth, I wasn't really really worried, and I think like it just a lot of the things that we do in New Japan or in those camps like really fit my style. So it was
Yeah.
just like because I was an amateur wrestler for a while, and I would do that in my matches anyways, and it was just showing good heart and good spirit and stuff. So that's kind of just fit who I was already.
And you would definitely you were like picked out of like the first group of like trainees to like get, into New Japan, which brings me to New Japan having a Lions Break project like #1, and you got to face Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell me all about that because I know that's like one of your inspirations. So yeah, let me know, man.
It was crazy. Like I like he was one of the only people from New Japan I knew who he was, and like I remember I met him and I was like earlier in the day, and I was kind of and I was just like, hey, and he didn't have his like stuff on. So I was just like, it's like some I think maybe Shibata introduced me to him, and I was like, oh my god, nice to meet you, blah blah. And he was just so nice and like but he's still I was a young lion, so and he's juiced down the lager, he's gonna kick my butt. So so he did. But but yeah, I remember afterwards, like we did take a picture together, and like he posted it on his using his flip phone, and puts it on his Twitter or whatever the heck. Cause yeah, so he put it on his Twitter on his desktop computer at the hotel or
Oh my
something.
God.
And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And he was like, yo, this kid's gonna be great. And I was like, that was a really cool moment for me.
Yeah, man. So switching to a little bit, okay, we're gonna get into like a lot of New Japan stuff in a little bit, but in 2019, for fans out there that don't know, you actually had a couple of Ring of Honor matches. With you had one match with Jeff Cobb and stuff like that. But my only question is, this weekend is Death Before Dishonor. Do you have any thoughts about, this pay-per-view coming up? Like, if you ever wanted a special match, like who would you want to fight if you were on the card?
Well, right now, like I have wrestled him before in the Super J Cup, but I want to wrestle Gresham again, just because he's the guy over there, and he's phenomenal. But and he beat me in the Super J Cup when I was a young lion still. But I think I will beat him now. If I get the chance to wrestle him again, and because that was a really physical match. Like, we beat the crap out of each other. I was like, I really liked it. And I was like, I want to do more with him, or either him or Jay Lethal. Because I just think I got to hang out with Jay in the UK for a little while, a couple years back actually, and I was like, we really got on well, and I was like, I always thought he was a really great wrestler, so I'd love to actually just be in the ring with him. It'd be good to just to see where I'm at.
Yeah. Speaking of Ring of Honor, are there any Ring of Honor title belts that you like in general? Any of your
Well,
favorite ones?
I mean, like the tier one's cool because it's like I mean I really think Yuta is a great wrestler. Um, but like honestly, like it's not as much my style anymore. I'd say, like I think I'm more for like you gotta put me in that world heavyweight title picture. Honestly, I'm going there for the best. Yeah, so that's what that's what I would be aiming for if I went over to Ring of Honor for anything.
Awesome. internet, you heard it here first that he wants to like wrestle for some Ring of Honor belts,
Yes, yes.
It is kind of time for you to get like some type of gold or something. So I have you in a lot of tournaments per se, so I'm just going to read them off. I don't consider, well, I mean, you did 2019 for the G1 Climax, but you weren't in the Climax. You were part of the undercard, but that still counts. So he participated there. It still counts, undercard. 2019, you were in Super J Cup here in the United States. 2019, you were in Young Lions Cup. 2019, you were Super Junior Tag League. 2020 Lion Break Crown. You were the first winner for that one. So congratulations for that one. And then you also did another Super J Cup in 2020. And then 2022, you were in Best of the Super Juniors. So my one big question is, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you like tournaments? Because they seem to put you in like all these tournaments.
I love it. Like, there's so much you can do in a tournament, like, and you never know what's gonna happen. I like the round robin style better. Like this, like most of the ones I was in before was like kind of single elimination, you know. But
Yeah.
I like the idea of like you face everybody and like and I think it gives you a chance to maybe, there's more upsets and there's more chances at just, I don't know, good storytelling, but also great fights. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And let's not gloss over the fact that you were the winner for the Lions Break crown. How did you like feel about that, when you won it?
well, I thought like that one was like big for me, just like kind of cap off my young lion like career. I mean, I know I was a long line for a little longer, but I think at that moment, like Shibata was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're done being a young. I can kind of do, I could kind of like be more myself in the ring and just in general. Like, I think it was good for me to just to kind of show everybody, okay, he's ready to go to the next stage of his career.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Best of the Super Juniors, because I was happy to see some really fresh faces and stuff. I think the highlight for me was when you were doing promos about every single one of the guys, and I remember like I tagged you on one of them because you were you did a promo with about no, Yo. I'm sorry, we'll get to Show in a little bit, but you did one about Yo. You called him a Pokemon bug catcher because of him wearing the hoodies. And I was like, I never thought of that. So 2 questions. One, are you a Pokemon fan? And which is your favorite Pokemon? It cannot be Pikachu.
Oh no, no. Okay, yeah. I used to play a lot of time. Like, I only played I played up to like the 3rd generation, I think. Like, I played Ruby and Sapphire, but my biggest game was Gold version. Like, I was raw. I like beat that thing to death. But my favorite Pokemon, like, it's got to be from the 151.
Okay.
Oh man, there's so many good ones. I never thought about it in a while. Oh gosh, now you're making me think. I love like I always used to love Hitmonlee. I thought he was
Oh,
so
really?
stupid. Yeah, because like I just I love the idea, like the play on words of like Hitmonchan, like Jackie Chan,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hitmonlee. And I love Bruce Lee. Like he was like for sure one of the sick ones because like like any of those fighting types. Like as I'm thinking of like Machoke and Machamp. Oh, like so
Yeah, yeah,
sick.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys would be a big thing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh, mine is Growlithe.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's always between Growlithe and Arcanine. And over here in New York, we have Nintendo World. So like they'll have like plushies of like the Pokemon and stuff. So once I saw they had Arcanine, like I was like, I have to buy it. So I have like a little Arcanine plushie with me and stuff. So yeah. But I really did enjoy all those promos that you did against the guys in Best of the Super Juniors. They were really creative. Because I would call Yo like his hoodie boy gimmick. I would take those hoodies because I like hoodies. But yeah, how was it fighting Show? Because I think you might be. I'm not gonna say the first person, but you know what? For the sake of it, you might be the first person that was like, "Oh, Show is gonna jump me, so I'm gonna stop Show." Like, how was that?
Yeah, I just thought about it. I was like, because I think a lot of people did a lot of good scouting and stuff, but I was just like, I watched all these guys' matches, and I was just like, yo, he just jumps people every time, you know what I mean? And so I remember I like walked out there and I was looking around and like that stadium was really big, where we fight.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was looking around, I was like, well, where the hell did he go? Like, and I had a feeling there was like, like something going on. And then like it was actually creative how he did it. Like he kind of came from behind, like even though he had his entrance first, and then but like I kind of like could feel it almost a little bit, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna pop him right now. So that was
I saw that and I immediately like pop as well. I was just like, oh my God, this is so great. Like finally someone attacks Show. Show usually attacks people, I have dubbed Show adorable heel. Because heels are not really supposed to be adorable, but Show ends up being adorable. And I'm like, no, I'm supposed to hate you, not supposed to like you. He's a freaking adorable heel.
he is like he's a heck of a character. I didn't know this. Our locker rooms are all separated in the back, so I don't get to see him very often, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'll walk by him in a random situation, like here and there, and he's always making faces and like it's. I guess adorable's a good word for it. It's good, pretty funny, honestly.
Yeah, every single heel tactic that he does, like when he's either with like House of Torture or like by himself when he has his wrench, I'm like, why are you being adorable? You're not supposed to. Like I don't use that. I don't use that for like Dick Togo. With Dick Togo, I'm like, oh my God, it's Dick Togo. Get him off my screen, but with Show, I'm like, oh, what is this guy gonna do next? Like, I'm not supposed to do that. But yeah. Yeah, what is your fondest memory being like during the whole entire tour of Best of the Super Juniors? What's your fondest memory?
Oh wow. Actually, I think the best feeling I got was like either my match with Hiromu, just because like Shibata was out there at ringside, and I remember like after the match was over, I just kind of looked at him and I was like, I didn't know if he's gonna be disappointed or what,
Yeah.
And he was very very stoic, but he was also just like he kind of was like he kind of just gave me the slightest nod of
Yeah.
and that was cool. It was either that or just like my music hitting at the first event, and it was like me and Ace Austin, and I ended up losing, but like my music hit, I walked out, and like no one had seen me in my like cowboy hat and all that stuff before.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at people's faces and just like, what the fuck? Like, this is people couldn't even remember who I was as a young man compared to like I'm this whole new person, whole new gimmick and everything. So I think that was a really good feeling. It went good. Other than losing, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember watching you versus Ace Austin, and I was like, "This is so great! Like, this is like what I really want to see and everything." And obviously, I'm cheesing about it because like I really enjoyed like that whole thing. Yeah. What did you eat in Japan while you were there?
Just too much of everything. Yeah, just a lot of yakiniku and just a lot of just meat. Just because, well, except for chicken, because one of the first nights I went out, me and some of the guys went out, and we were out really late at some bars and shit. And I was like, I wanted to go get some more drinks, and I was like, oh, let's go to a cheap place, just like really, $2 or 2 yen beers or something, like big mega beers.
Yeah.
So we get there and they have like some food. Sorry. We have some food there, and it was a bunch of chicken sticks, and I was like, oh man, let's get chicken sticks. And we ordered like 30 of them. It's just me and the other homie. We ordered 30 of them. And I was just like, but when they came, it wasn't regular chicken, it was chicken skins, like fried chicken skins. Which it was like a couple, but like there was 30 of them, and then homie was just like, nah, I ain't gonna eat any of those. So we ate like 2, I ate all of them, all the rest of them, just because I was like drunchy, just like eating, And I couldn't eat chicken.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat chicken for the next like month. But other than that, I ate a bunch of really good food. Had some great sushi and some steaks, and the usual, which is good.
Yeah. I wanted to switch gears about Osprey for a little bit, only because I'm gonna like take us back and like do a little storytelling here. But
All right.
back at back at Resurgence all the way on August 14th, right? Osprey comes out, Osprey's like on the real champ, and then Osprey starts talking shit about the LA Dojo guys. LA Dojo guys plus like, a little bit of Osprey had like a feud going back and forth. But I would like to know, what kind of match would you want to have with Osprey to like settle that? And it's for the US title too. So what kind of match stipulation would you want to have with Osprey, if you can, for his belt?
Probably like something a little extreme, just because I know Will is a great flyer, but I don't think he's got like he has his mean streak. He's kind of learning about himself right now, I think. But he ain't gonna go. He doesn't have the ideas to get like wild like I can. You know what I mean? Like busting through people and shit. So maybe like some kind of cage or a cell match where there's just like we can just get in there and just beat the hell out of each other and really just sell the score, So like he can be he might be creative and like be able to hit some weird stuff out of nowhere, But I think that I could find my nasty streak, and I could throw him through some tables and throw him through a ladder and throw him through a chair, you know what I mean? The whole nine. And I think that'd be really fun. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah.
That would. And I probably should say this thing. I'm probably gonna get heat for it or not. But you said that Osprey couldn't really get wild like you, and the first thing I thought of was that bleeding in matches does not mean that you get wild in a match. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there for everyone. Look, man, I have this thing where like wrestlers bleed. Like I don't mind if a wrestler bleeds, right? It has to be for the story. It has to be for all the psychological part of it, because you're going through this story to like really like have me want to watch. If you're bleeding just to bleed in every single match, it's not going to make any difference. I'm going to be so turned off that I'm just like, can you please stop bleeding? And most of the people who watch me and like know who I'm talking about, they basically know who I'm talking about by now. But yeah,
I think I might have an idea.
No, it's cool, dude. You don't have to. I can take all the heat. I always do. It's totally okay. I always do, because I have very strong opinions about wrestling. So like people just don't like it, and that's okay. Just okay.
Cool. I like it because you care about it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So aside from Will Ospreay, you also had the chance to try and get the Strong Openweight Championship from former champion holder Tom Lawler, who's now in the G1. What were your first initial thoughts about that one?
Well, so like my biggest thing, I think that was his like 8th or 9th title defense at that point, and I'd watched all of them from backstage, and I know Tom. I have a long history with Tom, actually. Like I've known him since Prestige, like 2017. Like he was always at them shows. And we always got on pretty well, but like he was, once he started doing the Team Filthy stuff, he's like, he would, it was very him. But like anybody who lines himself with Danny Lime, like, come on now, like, but like I knew that everybody who had wrestled him always, like, whenever they tried to go against Tom Lawler, whenever they fought Tom Lawler, they always ended up fighting a Tom Lawler match. They would go in there, they would try to like wrestle him, they would try to strike against him, they would try to get like, submit him, and all I could think to myself was like, yo, I got trained by Katsuyori Shibata for a long time, and I understand how to do those things, but he was in the fucking UFC. Why would I try to fight someone like that? Like, he's obviously knows what he's doing better than me. So in my head, I was like, I'm gonna try to do something that no one had done and just get it in his head psychologically, you know. So I came out with like his jean shorts on and like different just to try to get in his head. And I got on a roll for a little bit. You know, of course, you always got to be wary of his homies at the side, Jr. Kratos, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he got the best of me in the end. But like I think in terms of a learning experience for me, I liked it because it got to show people that like I'm not just crazy and I'm not just I'm wild. And when I say I'm wild, I don't mean like I'm gonna go kill everybody's ass. It's just like I'm not afraid to try different stuff, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it was a learning experience, but I'll get him. I'll get him next time. That's all good.
Yeah. But now we have a new strong overweight champion in Fred Rosser. If you were to face him, what kind of match would you want with him?
Well, actually, I was one of Fred's first matches when he came to Strong
Yeah.
when I was a young lion, and it wasn't very long. It was once again I was a young lion, so I was still a little more limited. But he's intense. It's fun to wrestle against him because he comes in there and he's definitely not Darren Young. I'll tell you that much. He's in there to kick some ass. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I would with a guy like that. I have some ideas. I have some strategies I might pull out. Um, but I honestly I haven't been around on Strong in a little while, so I have to kind of reintroduce myself to get back in that title picture before I even start thinking about wrestling him again.
Yeah. Which brings me to the strong tapings are coming up on what is it? July 24th for High Alert in Charlotte, North Carolina, which everyone out there listening to can still go buy tickets. It's gonna be you versus El Desperado versus Hiromu, which I am very looking forward to when it comes on New Japan World because I won't be able to cover it live. But you are ready for Hiromu? And I think he fought El Desperado too. Like these two guys are like super awesome. Are you changing up your strategy now that you already faced them?
A little bit. I think the biggest thing for me is like right now, it was already announced as me and Hiromu, but then like Desperado and I kind of got into some shit over in Japan on the road, and so I think that dynamic of it is gonna, part of that was me being smart and like because I figured like yeah I'm gonna wrestle Hiromu, but I didn't think I was gonna wrestle Desperado in a triple threat. I thought like I wanted Desperado to come over and wrestle me on a separate day because he was talking about coming to America, and I was like, no, if you want to do it, come through me. And I didn't know it was gonna be a triple threat. But now that it is, I think that the strategy might work out even better because I think I have gotten under Despy's skin enough to really piss him off, and I know that he's got such bad beef with Hiromu already that I think there's a chance that it might, he might be off his game a little bit, and it might do enough damage to Hiromu too that I can really. I was this close last time with Hiromu, and that all I needed was an opening. So I think this, in my opinion, this is the one that'll put me over the top. I beat the two of them in the same match. Like that's it right there. Like I need to get a title shot. I need the junior title shot. It's on. So be sure to
man. Yeah, I was like, this is amazing, this triple threat. And then July 30th, you are facing Davey Richards. That automatically I was like completely happy about and I was cheesing about it just because I watched Davey Richards live and he's one of my favorites, and then like watching you're one of my favorites as well, and I was like, I have to interview Clark before like this match happens if I can't get Davey. Did you ever like watch Davey at all, or like like how are you feeling going into this?
Yeah, he was kind of on his way out when I was starting up, like on the Indies, like up in he's from the Pacific Northwest, so he was kind of taking some time off, like to focus on his like other pursuits when I was kind of showing up. So I saw very little of him, but I knew that people liked him, and I knew that I've always gotten to a lot of comparisons to him. Like very intense, very we like to we roll around whatever it is. So I think the good thing is though is like I'm fully formed as a wrestler now that to the point where it's like before he would have probably beat me, but I think now it's like, no, this is time. Like he can come at me with a lot of his submissions. I know what he can do, but like he's seen all my stuff. Like he doesn't realize if I spear him one time, it's gonna bust his ribs in half, you know. So that's what I'm looking for. I mean, a clash of styles, and like that show is gonna be fucking lit too. Like we got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited for like this one. This is like super on like number one on my list to watch. And then on Starcast, the next night, you're facing Ren Narita, which I love Ren Narita. I still think that Ren Narita is like a spitting copy and image of Shibata, which is kind of the weirdest thing ever.
Yes.
But you know, again, what's your initial thoughts of fighting Ren Narita now that both of you guys are not young lions anymore?
Yeah, I think well, the thing is about Ren is I know what he can do. I've wrestled against him so many times in the dojo. Like I know exactly what he brings to the table, but I know that he's in my time being away from the dojo when he's been still there training, you know, for the most part. I know that Shibata's taught him even more wild shit, you know. So I know what to expect. So, but the thing is, whenever I've wrestled him, last time I wrestled him, I beat him. You know, like in the Young Lions Cup. I think that was the last time we wrestled 1-on-1. And so he was definitely a different wrestler back then. But like I had a lot more to my repertoire. So I'm gonna if I bust, he's never felt a trophy kill. I'll tell you that much. So when he does, it's lights. It's lights. No one gets up. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, man. Just two more questions and then like we'll wrap it up. You know, talking about like Forbidden Door, the pay-per-view that just happened, you replaced Ishii because Ishii's knee, you know, got messed up and everything. How was being backstage at Forbidden Door?
It was cool. It's cool. Like you know, I'd been on Dark before and I met some of the people, but I hadn't met like a lot of the bigger names obviously who were there. So it was good to just kind of it was cool because I felt like I fit in, you know what I mean? Like I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, but like I feel as confident as anyone as a wrestler and where I'm at, you know, and as being one of the best wrestlers in the world. So it's like I felt like no, I didn't win, so technically I didn't deserve to be there, but like I mean I deserved it on that stage, you know, and that felt good to be back there with those guys. And you know, I met some new people, I made some new friends, and that was really cool. Got to meet, like I said, I got to meet Jericho, and I spoke with him for a long time, and I was like, little that we're like, oh, this is a pretty moment, but it also made me feel like, no, I'm ready to be here, you know, all the time.
Yeah, I will say this though, the reaction on Twitter was a little bit different because when they had to say that, oh, you replaced Ishii, everyone was like, who's this Clark Connors guy? And blah blah blah. And I'm here like, you guys, like, I don't really want to blast every single one of you guys, right? So usually what I do on my show is do like a tape study Tuesday, and you know, you were gonna be featured as one. So I was gonna go through your matches and like commentate on them, like I've done like with two other ones before, but other than, well, we're here Tuesday now, so you're on my show, so it makes more sense. But I will say that after people watched Forbidden Door and they watched that Fatal 4-Way for the All Atlantic title, everyone's opinion like changed of you, and everyone was like, "Yo, Clark Connors is awesome." You know, they're like, "Holy shit, this is great!" Blah blah blah. So I'm happy that like, you know, I've never doubted you. They all did, but like, you know, nobody wants to listen to me. But yeah, they were just like, Clark is like awesome. I'm like, yeah, this is why. Like all that power, all that speed and everything. So I'm happy that like the opinion on Twitter changed, because Twitter, you know, Twitter can be toxic. They all know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for the support. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing. Is like I know where I was like coming into the match, but like I said, the whole time it's just like, yeah, but I know who I am, you know, I know what I can do. So it's like, it's not, I mean, I wouldn't call it arrogance. I just call it confidence. Like, yeah, no, I'm confident in my abilities. And then I hope it shines through enough, you know, and I didn't really, I'm not really on social media that much. I have my manager do it for me, but for the most part, but when I am on there, I did check out some of the stuff and I was like, yo, that's really cool that like people are really supportive. And I like to see that.
Yeah, totally, man. I'm always here to like, you know, support what I love and support other people and try to have them, you know, be the best that they can be. With like, you know, my my show and everything. All right, so last question is that New Japan Pro Wrestling has a lot of factions, right? If you could create your own faction, who would you have in your faction, and what would you name it?
Oh my God. Well, you gotta have the big four, all of us, and that's there's no doubt. I don't know what we would name it. Let's see, what would be a cool. I always like is like Carl always comes up with great like like names and stuff, and I always like because he calls us. He calls a lot of. We have a lot of names for ourselves, like when we talk. Obviously the big four is something that we say about the four of us, but I like. We have a certain that we say just like we're raw dogs, like we're all raw fucking dogs.
Yeah.
And whatever that means, you know what I mean? It's just it is what it is, and I would want to have all the guys in New Japan who are like that, you know what I mean? So like the people who I like to go out and like after the shows and such, like people that I've linked up with, like a guy like Wheeler Yuta, I would love him in the faction. I would love to have like out from outside of New Japan. I would want like a Brian Pillman Jr. I would want like we need like a big super heavyweight, and like even a guy that I think has so much untapped potential that like people don't know about, like Hikuleo. Like I know.
Oh man, I love him.
But he's so good. Like I watched a guy like that. I'm like, oh, or Adrian Quest. I think he would be great to have him with us too. And obviously, Chet. Kevin Knight for sure. DKC's the wild card. Like LA Dojo for real. Obviously, but obviously, I think that they all want to take their own paths too. So it's something that it would have to be like, yo, let's the people who want to be here. Let's have them be here.
Yeah, man. Well, that's it from me and my chat. I've had super fun. So this is the time where you go and plug your stuff in, and basically like tell people where to find you and all that, and whatever else you want to say.
Yeah, well, I'll just do the plugs real quick. It's on Twitter at Clark Connors. On Instagram, it's Clark.Connors. I keep it real easy. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat, and anyone who supports me in general and supports New Japan in general. Please keep doing so, New Japan World. And just like I say, anytime I end a promo, let's get wild. Thank you guys. All right.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. It would also be up on my newsletter. Head over to marieshadows.substack.com to view the whole video on replay, and then also all of my G1 coverage and all other goodies. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me, Clark. It's been super, super amazing. But yeah, chat, I'll see you guys next time.